Hi, I'm Kristen. I hope you're getting excited about the Scrapbuster Sew-Along starting next week. If you don't know what that is, there'll be a link above or in the description. But today what I'm doing is my kind of New Year's run through of my quilting whips and UFOs. So my unfinished objects, unfinished projects, or whips works in progress. So if you're a beginner, that's what those terms are all about. I did this last year. Folks seem to enjoy it, and it did kind of help me to get a handle on what I still had to finish and what I had kind of taking up space that I hadn't done anything with. For anyone who's new to the channel, I only actually started quilting during COVID, so we're on maybe like year 3 now. So I maybe don't have as many UFOs as some people, but I still have a few. So let's have a look. The first one is probably the one I've talked about the most, and it's been pretty long running because I started it pretty soon after I started quilting, and it's the Farmer's Wife quilt. So I've done a couple of videos about that, so I'm not going to talk about it for a long time. Basically, the last time I did a video, I updated on some blocks. So these are the blocks that kind of scrappy. Sorry, this is the book that the blocks come from. I'm doing them foundation paper pieced, and there's about 99 blocks, and I've working my way through. I'm not necessarily going to do all 99 anyway. And I've gotten to the point of kind of thinking up layouts, which was in my last video. So if you're interested in seeing more of this quilt, then those 2 videos are probably the ones to look at. So this is still ongoing, guys. I haven't, since the last video, I've maybe done another handful of blocks, 5 or 10 more blocks, something like that. But yeah, still a work in progress. So, right, what else is fairly progressed? This one, I'll have to get a photo of the whole thing, but I'll hold it up for now, is, why did I make, oh yes, this is one of the ones that I made. So wait, I'll hold it up, hang on. It's a Carpenter star from a Missouri Star Quilt Company video. It's meant to be like a quick, whoop, there, I'll get a picture of the whole thing. Anyway, it's just like a really quick half square triangle kind of thing. And I whipped it up when I was waiting for my Moxie, the long arm that I bought last year, thinking, oh, I'll do a quick, this will be one of my practice quilts. And then I got sort of sidetracked into other projects, and I quilt for my nephew for Christmas and stuff like that. So I haven't quilted this yet. And my issue with this is, I actually didn't use scraps for this. I used a couple of layer cakes, which is kind of different for me. And it's quite nice and bright in the middle with the oranges. But on the edge, I feel like it kind of, the background and this bit, it's kind of hard to, you know, there's not the contrast. So I was half thinking I might try something to make that outline clearer. So I bought this. It's like a baby yarn, and I was going to try couching. I've seen them do it on the Handy Quilter channel. I don't know whether I'm going to do that or not. So anyway, that's, this is a quilt top that's done, but it's not quilted. So for me, that's still a whip. I know some people might not put that in that category, but I do. So, because I'm relatively new quilter, I don't tend to have lots of quilt tops that I just haven't quilted. So, yeah, all right. So that's one. Figure out something to do with that this year. What else? This. You might have seen these in a video before as well. So this was like a ridiculous, huge quilt top that I did. It was like an improv thing, and I decided I didn't like it that much. It's not very ironed here. And I cut it in 2 to make quilts for care leavers. They need a specific, quite long size because they use them as like hugs to hug around themselves. So this is either 2 quilt tops or a front and a back of a quilt top for charity. So I will get that quilted at some point this year as well. So that's those 2. Next, I have my low volume quilt, which I talked about in the same video last year, but I wasn't as far forward. So I've done some more blocks. This one might have been quite a long time ago, but and they're all, it's a low volume crumb quilt, and I'm just dropping bits of it on the floor. Hang on. And so I'm not making a specific block size. I'm just making blocks. So these ones I would have just started, and I haven't grown them yet. And then they get kind of bigger. And the idea is I'm just going to jigsaw them all together eventually. So I've got lots more than I had this time last year. And probably if I laid them out, I could probably make a smallish quilt at this point, but I think I want it to be bigger, so I'm not, this is still ongoing. And I do use lots of low volume scraps in lots of other quilt projects, so they don't, the scraps of the right colors don't always make it to this quilt. They sometimes end up somewhere else. I'm probably going to be using some of them, for example, in the Scrap Buster sew along as well. So I don't know. We'll see how long this goes. And then there's a whole other, there's like loads more of them here, all the same basic idea. So this is all full of bits. I might lay them out and try and take a picture and show you kind of where it's got to at this point and put it up on the screen or something. But yeah, still working on this one. Next I've got, let me just put these away quickly. One that I talked about but didn't do a whole lot with. So it's more of a fabric pull than a work in progress, but it's a little bit, it's my Tula Pink William Morris mashup that I was planning to do. And now I just don't know, because I haven't done very much with it at all, whether or not I'm going to keep up with it. I did this bit with some trying. The idea was I was going to try all these different AccuQuilt dyes that I had bought but hadn't used. and so I started with this one, which was some triangles. So that's a mashup of Tula Pink and William Morris. And then I just haven't pulled it out. I get, maybe because it's in the box, I don't know. Anyway, so, but I've kind of paired some fabrics together that I thought would work, but I haven't gotten much further than that. So I don't know. Should I keep going with that, or should I put this fabric back on the shelf? I don't know. I have to decide. It did fit in here before. There we go. Next up, I have this project. So some of you, I think, saw this on my design wall. I'll see if I can screen grab what it looked like at the time or lay it out again. But it's basically like half square triangles, half of which are scrappy strip blocks going in all sorts of different directions, and half of which is just like a low volume version of the same color. Is that how you would say it? I don't know. So like this is kind of the white and red, and then this is the darker red, you see? And it was like gonna be, how did it go? You know, that kind of way. I'll get a picture of what it was supposed to look like. But anyway, I don't have loads of it. I just have a bunch of it. And then I made, I started making the strip bit to do some blue ones. So I would have like, I think I was gonna do rainbow or whatever, you know, try and clear all the scrappy strips. And then I guess I lost interest because they're just like this, nothing's happened. So I don't know whether I want to continue with that. I've been doing for the Scrap Buster so long thing starting next week, some of the test blocks I've been doing in red and white. So I'm kind of thinking maybe if that's not the color that I choose to do for the sew along, which I don't think it will be, then maybe I should combine various red and white leftovers and make some other kind of quilt. I don't know. But then I have to do something with these blue ones. So we'll see. We'll see about those. Okay. Next is a couple of, they're whips because I haven't made the full quilt. They're my patterns, right? So I keep talking about, I'm going to put out heart patterns. I make FPP, foundation paper piecing patterns. So, you know, although I kind of give you free quilt patterns on YouTube and stuff that are more kind of improv-y and whatever, the ones that I actually design are FPP. And so I've been doing various kind of heart blocks, and I have full quilt patterns kind of designed but not edited that I haven't put out. And it's some sort of mental block about actually selling patterns, I think. I don't know. So I've got things in progress. Probably the heart ones are more progressed. And then I've got one with scrappy hexagons. It was kind of, I mean, it's hard to show you without showing you the whole quilt. But anyway, these were kind of what I was working on. But these have been for ages, and I just haven't prioritized them. You know, I've been making gifts for people or doing something else or whatever. So I don't know. That's another one that I might try and just put something out there, see how it goes. I know a lot of you are not into FPP, so this is not me asking you to tell me to sell you patterns or anything like that. It's just something I'm playing with and not doing much with at the moment, to be honest. Right. And then the last ones are kind of the Orphan Blocks. Even though I did an Orphan Block quilt this year, I still have a whole box of Orphan Blocks of various things. Some of them would be like, so this one's like a leftover from the back of my Triangle Madness quilt. This is a test block of that hexy pattern I just showed you. Then I have some of the blocks that I did for tutorials, like the Scrappy Improv Hexies. What is this one? Oh, these are the Christmas ones that I haven't used. I used some of them in my tree skirt. This is my Scrappy Improv Christmas trees. I've still got 2 of those. I didn't end up making a cushion. Life got in the way. These were the blocks that I made to test some foundation paper piecing patterns for a video. So I've got these. So I think I just need to do another Orphan Block. What's this? This is another, oh my goodness. This is another huge section of that. So the one I showed you that was for charity, this is another huge section of it that I guess didn't fit with the dimensions or something. So I've got another great big piece of randomness. So I don't know, that can go in a scrappy back, I guess. That's bigger than a block. Why is that in there? Anyway, okay, got that. What else? Various just little, I've got all my little scrappy 3.5-inch squares. I've got still some random flying geese that I just do when I feel like it. Oh, and there was a bigger one in here. I've got some random, this was from when I was these are just random patchwork. I think I was gonna make a cushion, but I couldn't figure out who it was for or something. So I've got lots of randomness. So some of this I should just make small projects with. And some of it I might get creative and do some sort of an Orphan Block quilt again later in the year. That was fun. So I might do that, yeah. And then I have, as well as my own Orphan Blocks, I think I showed you last year and in a previous video, I've still got that patchwork that I bought off eBay from other folk. So someone who's either passed on or their relatives just selling their stash because they can't sew anymore or whatever. So I still have, and a lot of it's EPP. So, and now that I've got the long arm, I'm thinking I might, instead of trying to push myself to sort of hand sew that all together and add it to my own, I might try and do something a bit more modern and improv using the long arm and kind of like just sewing it onto, so if I did piece some sort of a quilt top, a fairly plain thing, and then put the EPP on top is the kind of idea, but I'm not sure when I'm going to get to that. So anyway, so those are I think those are all my whips, and yeah, but it's not too bad. I'm sure I'm kind of in the middle. I'm sure there's some of you who have none and are just on top of it, and some of you who have cupboards full of finished quilt tops that haven't been quilted. So I don't feel too bad. And I'm not going to push myself to necessarily focus on finishing these in 2023. I'm going to do what I want to do, but I think having gone through them, I'm more likely to come back to them, especially like that red and white one. I'd forgotten all about those blocks. But this one, I'm just looking at it, these ones, and I'm like, I can see very easily how I can combine those with the blocks that I'm doing, some of the blocks I'm doing for the Scrap Buster Challenge. So I think that might be one that gets finished off first. And then I still like kind of working on the low volume one off and on. And Farmer's Wife quilt, I'd like to get that finished this year. That's probably a goal. But otherwise, we'll just see how it goes. So I'd love to hear about if you do any kind of like a WIPS audit or UFO audit, and how that's gone and what your goals are for quilting in 2023. If you haven't decided to do the Scrap Buster Sew Along, just watch on Monday the 9th. That'll be the first video. It's going to be recorded videos. I think some of you have been asking me, how do I join? I don't want to miss it. They're recorded. It's going to be the same as my usual videos. It's just more like a series, and I'm going to be starting with the blocks and the block options, and then the other videos are going to follow along so that you can kind of figure out where to go with it from that. So from the first video, I'm hoping it'll be clear. So you don't have to sign up for anything. I still haven't done any kind of handout yet. I might do a handout or download, you know what I mean? I'm not coming to your house to hand it to you. A download next week. And if I do, I'll talk about it in the video and tell you how to get it, okay? But you should still be able to follow along just with the videos, no problem. So I hope that you can join me for that. I'm getting excited about it. And yeah, thanks so much for spending time with me. And I hope you had great holidays. And I'll see you next week. Bye.